evening, everyone. Welcome to OMNI News South Asian Edition. I'm Sudha. Well, days after being out of hospital, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford is back in the hot seat over something he did in the driver's seat. November is National Diabetes Awareness and Prevention Month, and the disease is on the federal radar.
The people they were saying goodbye to were of the Sikh faith. The people here consoling each other were of all faiths.
No matter what country your ancestors came from, no matter where you worship, no matter what your background, as Americans, we are one.
Mourners are still saddened that 6 people were shot dead. The possible motive? They didn't look like Americans. Well, today, people walked by their caskets, many shocked. A gunman had stormed their place of worship last Sunday. 3 people were injured, including an officer. Police had been overwhelmed by the kindness of the Sikh community offering prayers to their officer. The investigation shows suspected gunman Wade Michael Page turned the gun on himself as police were trying to take him down. Page was a former Army veteran and a white supremacist. But here, today wasn't a day to talk about the man suspected in the massacre. It was a day to remember the victims, and thousands did.
For weeks, the Crown has been alleging a motive behind the deaths of 3 teenage girls and a relative. That motive? To restore the family's honor. Well, today, an expert took the stand explaining what honor killing is. Dr. Shahzad Mojab testified she worked with women's groups in the Middle East. She says so-called honor crimes happen in many cultures and religions.
It's gender-based. It's a form of the exercise of patriarchal relations.
She testified women are expected to control their appearance and sexuality. She says in many cultures, the tradition says that any dishonor can be dealt with by, quote, shedding the blood of the woman to purify the father's name. She said fathers may love their daughters, but restoring honor is more important. During the trial, the jury heard police wiretap evidence of Father Muhammad Shafia saying even if he's sent to the gallows, nothing is more important than honor. The jury heard he felt betrayed his daughters had boyfriends. In cross-examination, the defense asked if Mojab went to Afghanistan for research. She said she didn't. The Shafia family is from Afghanistan. The expert also admitted she knows of no honor killings in the form of drownings. In June of 2009, the bodies of Zainab, Sahar, Geeti, and 50-year-old Rona were found at the bottom of the Kingston Canal. Muhammad Shafia, his wife Tuba, their son Hamid, all pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder charges. So were these deaths, in fact, honor killings? Well, that is up to the jury to determine that. Meantime, the defense is expected to begin its case in what is already being seen as a high-profile and very emotionally charged trial out of Kingston.
It's the place where Afghan women drop by and get information. What's been news for some, the story of an Afghan couple and son on trial for murder.
I follow the case because of the type of the case, especially if it happened in a community and because of its impact on the community.
These women know abuse happens. They've heard of so-called honor-based crimes. What they don't like hearing about are labels.
This case is a very isolated case because we know we have many Muslims here and thousands like Afghans living here.
Women's groups, religious leaders, you name it, they've all been watching the Shafia trial. But they won't comment on the specifics of the case because it's still before a jury. And while many feel this story has put a family in the spotlight, others feel this case has put a whole community on trial.
One wonders whether the entire community as a whole is also being held hostage to what's happening there.
The Shafia case hasn't dominated headlines of the South Asian focus. Editor Sunil Rao believes so-called alleged honor crimes have become a fascination for mainstream media, not necessarily a bad thing, but
as if honor killing is something that all newcomers, Canadians of a South Asian heritage do, because it was even included in the Canadian Citizens Guide.
You know, the danger is that people will and already have started equating it with immigration, with religious beliefs.
It's a worry for Kingston Imam Sikandar Hashmi.
I talked about this trial in the first week. I talked about it in my sermon.
But he says it's why Muslims across the country have stepped up, acknowledging the work they've done so far wasn't effective enough.
If there is a silver lining in all of this, I think it's that it has really forced people, including members of our own community and our own imams and community leaders, to really think about these issues seriously and to really take concrete steps to move forward in combating domestic violence and honor-based violence.
The kind of denial that used to be endemic within the community, that has moved back.
And they hope the court of public opinion will give them the benefit of the doubt even after the Shafia case is done. She's a rising South Asian star tuning into a crisis a world away. Prita Chabra's song is God Be With You.
I felt like something inside my heart was telling me that I had to go to Africa.
The recording artist was just a little girl in Montreal when the world first heard about AIDS and HIV, but for her it was all a blur.
I remember seeing General Hospital and there was a patient with HIV/AIDS there, and it was like this big scary thing.
Later she took a college trip to Malawi. She saw what AIDS can do.
The government gives fertilizer to the farmers. I met a whole field of farmers, all of them who had HIV/AIDS, who said they won't give it to us because they said we're considered dead already.
It's why she's on a mission, one that's bringing her home, working with communities here.
Yes, progress has been made on the world stage in the fight against HIV, but experts say the battle is far from over. Yes, the rate of new infections globally has gone down. People with HIV are living longer, but many in our South Asian community are living longer and doing so in silence.
I've been HIV positive for 20 years now.
Arjun is hiding his real name but sharing his story. He contracted HIV through a blood transfusion after a rock climbing accident in Gujarat. His parents in Mumbai still want their son to keep quiet.
Everyone knows that I'm gay, so if this comes out, they're all probably going to assume that that's how I got my HIV. And then that's just going to play into my parents' psyche.
That stigma can be frustrating for HIV outreach workers like Vijaya Chikarmane. The fight may be gaining momentum all over, still families here need to openly talk about getting tested. But
most of their health information comes from their family doctor, but they're not going to talk to their family doctor about anything sexual because they consider that linked to their parents.
That's why people here believe World AIDS Day should be marked every day. People like Prita are, through their passion.
God be with you till we meet again.
Others are just living it.
What I have to say is important, just for the community who still continues to stigmatize HIV and AIDS.
Sudha Krishnan, OMNI News, Toronto.
And finally tonight, it is Surf's Up in Germany, but these wave catchers aren't heading to the beach. They're taking their surfboards to the airport. This is a man-made wave. Munich is hosting the second annual European Championships, and it's being held between two terminals at the city's airport. Surfers can catch a wave while competing for the big prize of $12,000. Catch a flight and catch a wave. Well, that is all our time for tonight. Remember, you can catch regular news updates and parts of this newscast online by logging on to omnitv.ca. For everyone here at OMNI News, I'm Sudha Krishnan. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you back here tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.